not a single one. There would have been more organization where attacker would have kind of attacked and got hold of the server by using this vulnerability. So threat intel feed would again would have the SOC team to kind of understand, okay, what's the kind of attack ongoing right now in the market. So even though, let's say, the patch management team has not told the SOC team that, okay, there's a vulnerability existing, the SOC team would have come to know on their own behalf by kind of reading or monitoring the threat intel feed by their own. Okay. And once they would have known that, they would have started this kind of conducting threat hunting. Okay. Threat hunting, and they would have kind of engaged the PMT team, patch management team, from their behalf and ask them to kind of scan the website that there's a very high severity vulnerability in the market, which is kind of a lot of attackers are using that for attacking the company. So let's scan our own company and see if we are vulnerable to the same exploit. Okay, so this is something would have happened at least, let's say, from March 6 to March 10. These things would have been done. That's threat hunting. Now, when the attacker came in the May 13, and they actually started kind of doing a lateral movement, or let's say they started accessing the data, that's where again the DLP tool would have been kind of be working, which would have kind of flagged that, okay, the GBs of data are going out. Or let's say the SOC team, again, it's the responsibility of SOC team to kind of understand that, okay, there are certain spike of data in the network traffic, which says that, okay, huge amount of data is going out to a external IP address, which is kind of which from whom we don't have a usual business with. Okay, so these are the lot of things that could have been done, like threat hunting, DLP, threat intel feed, which would have kind of stopped the attack at least till this point. They would have been done that by masses, but at least by here, they could have kind of stopped the thing. But none of this thing actually happened in the Equifax case. So now if you see that there are a lot of components which SOC team is made of, and why there's a kind of equal importance to kind of all these things going forward. So if the SOC team has a threat hunting team, the SOC team has a patch management team separate, so they would have kind of able to stop this easy to exploit vulnerability and would not have allowed the attacker to kind of exfil the data out. So again, from the lateral movement perspective, one of the thing was we were told was anomalies. Okay, so definitely lateral movement would have kind of captured when the threat hunting would have been done, where it would have been figured out, okay, why there's a system in HR department accessing the C system in the finance department. Okay, so there would have been no business use case of A having a connection to the C system that would have come up in the anomalies, and then the SOC team would kind of have involved the HR team and finance team to understand, is there a first thing is like, is there a business root case why one of the system of your team is kind of accessing the system of, let's say, the finance team. And if there's no use case, then the SOC team would have kind of gone forward and kind of investigated both the system and understand who made the connection and why this connection was made out. Okay, so this is something like would have been kind of figured out during the threat hunting phase. Okay, now let's say we are almost covered till March 6 to May 13. So now I wanted to know, are there any additional points, guys, which you like to add for these 3 timelines, and any other points that you could have done for the other dates? So the floor is yours. Let me know what other things could have been done over here. So any other points to make out? I hope, guys, I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, great. So let's say, like, if there were any other things that could have been done over here. So one of the thing is definitely this whole thing would have covered this timeline, and the things that would have been done over here, like let's say July 29, the breach was discovered. So definitely threat hunting would have kind of highlighted that the GBs of data are going outside, and the breach would have been discovered long back. Let's say by May 15 or May 17, the SOC team would know that okay, there's a spike of data going out. Now, once the breach was discovered, then that's where the incident response teams would come into action, and what their task will be now to kind of do a further impact analysis of the whole incident. So what they would have done is like they would have first kind of engaged, also inform the legal team that this is something, this is one of the attack that they are seeing, and this would also be a media issue going forward. So one of the things that they would have done is kind of notified the legal and PR team that okay, this is one of the breach that we have discovered. And then what they did was like they took the containment steps. So the first thing they did originally was they found the vulnerable site from where the attacker came in, and they first of all removed that site from being publicly accessible. And then they kind of proceeded further with kind of doing a more further investigation, like where the attacker went through it and by doing the lateral movement. Okay, so that's all about the Equifax case. Let me know if you guys have any question, and if you have none, then maybe I'll proceed to the other section. So let me see if I have any other notes to kind of say about. Okay, so what else happened after July 30th? So it's very kind of interesting to know. So by September 7, 2017, Equifax actually kind of disclosed that to the public that there has been a breach on almost 147 million American identities were kind of compromised. Okay, so this is something the news went out in public. Okay. Now by September 8, actually, there's a massive outcry by the public that when they came to know that this is how the Equifax handled their data, which is like they didn't applied any kind of any kind of controls or any kind of patching. There was a massive outcry, and which actually led to the resignation of the CEO of that company. Okay, and then thing is that there were multiple legal fines that were implied on Equifax, and the other thing is that since there was a massive breach of Equifax, like publicly data like credit card information or let's say name and IP address and whatnot. So the company had to pay millions and millions of rupees to the customers. So one of the things that SOC team normally does is like, let's say you are managing a client who is kind of handling credit card data of an employee, and let's say they have been compromised, the credit card data went out. So one of the things that client would do is that they would kind of set up certain kind of alert, okay, on behalf of the client for whose the credit cards were kind of compromised. And what they need to do is like they had to kind of invest a huge chunk of rupees just to kind of monitor if there has been any kind of like bad uses of the credit cards that were exposed by their servers, and if there is, they need to either stop it or pay the compensation fees to the customer for that. Okay, so these are a few other things that will happen when these kind of things, this kind of attacks would kind of be in place. Okay, so now let's go to the other case, which was the Sony hack, which was again kind of which was kind of quite good in news. Okay. Sony hack. So let me quickly go to that. Okay, so this was again kind of a major cyber attack, and this was something like when the attacker actually came into the system, this was something which was kind of pasted out all over the system computers of Sony. All the employees were seeing this kind of a screen on their laptop or desktop. Okay, and how the Sony attack happened was that it is kind of one of the cause for the Sony hack is that there was a movie that came up for the based on North Korean leader. It was a comedy movie. I think the name of the movie was The Interview. And thing is that just because of that, there were certain hackers who were kind of funded by the North Korea, and